I started serving a new family recently. They were senior managers at large companies based right here in the Charlotte area. They sat down for what is our standard onboarding visit, and about 15 minutes in, the husband set down his pen and said something I've heard so many times from a lot of people at that stage of their career. He said, "Ross, be honest with us. Could we be done working today? Or at least possibly slow down or be around more for our grandkids? Like, if we actually wanted to, is that on the table?" His wife was nodding her head in complete agreement. They've been turning that question over privately for months together. The numbers look strong on the page, but neither of them could say with confidence whether what they had already built was enough to carry them through the rest of their lives without ever earning a paycheck again. That question is one I hear more than almost any other from families who've done the right things, have been disciplined with their investing, and honest answer is that it's almost never as simple as a single account balance, which is why it's hard to answer that question on your own. There's a process to answering it. And I want to walk you through the 4 parts of that process today. I call it putting the facts on trial. The first is nailing down what a household actually spends. Not the in-your-head budget or the optimistic number, the real number across a full 12 months, including everything that tends really to get left out. The vacation every summer, the holiday travel and the gifts that go with it, the home repairs that seem to find every year, whether you plan for them or not, the ongoing giving, the kids or grandkids, the club membership, the subscriptions, the dining out. It adds up by month. For a large portion of the families I sit down with, this number is higher than they expect, sometimes really by a meaningful margin. And that's not a big problem. It is just the real number, and without it, the rest of the analysis is built really on a foundation that may not hold. The second part is understanding guaranteed income. That is the money coming in every month, regardless of what markets are doing up or down, based on, call it, not giving too much to the portfolio. For most people in their late 50s, early 60s, that list is much shorter than they had hoped. Some may have a pension, that's increasingly uncommon. Social Security belongs on a list eventually, though when to claim is really its own separate analysis. If nothing guaranteed is on that list, the full weight of funding the household lifestyle lands on the portfolio, and that does change the math significantly. I'll make a quick mention here that sometimes when clients entertain the idea of retiring early than planned, what they actually want is just a better work-life balance. Even taking a lower salary at a higher quality of life job for a few years can take a lot of pressure off the portfolio. The third piece is what the portfolio can actually support. For a lot of people, they start with something like the 4% rule, which is the concept that you should be able to withdraw between 3 and 4.5% per year without depleting the portfolio across a long retirement. That's not a bad starting point, but you really have to look at your income plan and your assets across your whole balance sheet. The good news is that in some cases, clients can safely pull more than that. It might include some nuance in terms of maybe accelerating tax-deferred dollars from something like a traditional 401k that are now being taxed while protecting after-tax dollars, possibly in something like a Roth IRA that can be used to pull income later when other sources like Social Security push you up to a higher tax bracket. We also need to look at your plan for all of retirement, not just what you can get away with spending from the portfolio right now. This view can provide much more clarity to help you make a decision here and now. The fourth part of the analysis is the one that gets skipped most often, and it is the one I think what matters most in practice. That is flexibility. What does the plan look like under real pressure? If the market has a difficult first few years after someone steps away from work, can spending come down meaningfully without dismantling the life and household budget? Is there home equity that could play a genuine role in a difficult stretch? Is part-time work or consulting something that would actually maybe feel interesting rather than just a fallback? A plan with no room to breathe is fragile in a way that a plan built with real contingencies simply is not. This has to do primarily with both how much you have accumulated in your portfolio as well as your cash reserves. That can help cushion your income needs over the next 1, 2, 3 years, potentially avoid selling at a loss if something does go wrong in the markets. Here's what consistently comes out of these conversations. The families who have been disciplined, who have saved consistently, who have spent less than they've actually made over a long period of time, almost always discover they have more flexibility than the anxiety around this question consumes. The gap between their real spending and what their portfolio can reasonably support tends to be smaller than they actually had feared. What they needed was not a bigger number. They needed a clear, structured look at the picture they already had. If you're in the range of 3 to 5 years from thinking seriously about a big transition of any kind, right now is the time to run this analysis before you've actually made assumptions in either direction about what it is or it is not possible. There's a link to schedule time with me in my profile, and I would be happy and glad to walk you through it.